4:30, just now 4:31. I'm calling this session to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Merrill.
Here.
Councilmember Levine.
Here.
Councilmember Opie.
Here.
Councilmember Plummer.
Here.
And Mayor Sagerstrom is absent today.
We'll open public comments on the closed session agenda items at this time, if anyone has any. Seeing none, I'll close public comment and we will adjourn into closed session. Our reconvening into open session. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me redo all that. Calling this meeting into session. I always jump the gun. At 5 p.m. We're reconvening out of closed session. Direction was given to staff on the agenda item. Council Member Bess Levine, would you like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have the city clerk's report on the agenda posting, please. Oh, I'm sorry, roll call. Skipped over it. Roll call comes first.
Vice Mayor Merrill.
Here.
Councilmember Levine.
Here.
Councilmember Opie.
Here.
And Councilmember Plummer.
Here.
And Mayor Sagerstrom is absent.
Now we will move on to the city clerk's report on the agenda posting.
At 8:46 a.m. on the 18th day of July 2025, the agenda for today's City of Sonora Council meeting was posted in the window of City Hall for public view.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Passes 4-0. And with that, we are moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. The public may address the council on any item of public interest not otherwise on the agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the city. No action may be taken. Matters to be addressed may be referred to city staff or placed on a subsequent meeting agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes for their presentation. At this time, do we have any public comment?
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. A few weeks ago, I just wanted to let you know that we had a little incident at the Visitors Bureau and at the Visitor Center. And I wrote emails to both Melissa and to the chief about thanking them for the response that we had from the police department. And I got to thinking, I really should say it publicly, that we really appreciate the quick response. We had a gentleman come in and he was kind of irate, and I was back in my office and our team was up front trying to see what was going on, and the police happened to be driving by and immediately stopped, took care of the issue, but then came in to really make sure that we were okay and if we needed anything, and just really followed through. And I just wanted to make sure that you hear that good stuff coming out of the police department and that the community hears that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So honestly, shouldn't be surprised. I think our police department's been doing a great job overall. So yes.
Good evening. So Melissa told me the trash cans are being cleaned downtown on Washington Street. So I'm pleased to hear that. But I would just like the gray trash can liners to be changed also because they're gross. And I went to the Second Saturday concert a couple weeks ago, and there were so many flies everywhere. It was absolutely disgusting, and I had to leave. So we have all these flies all over the place, and where we have flies, we have maggots. Where we have maggots, there's rotting things. So we need to do something about getting rid of all the flies. And we need to take a little bit more pride in our city and how it looks. And today I watched two people, both carrying water bottles, walking their dog downtown. And they let their dog pee on one of the sides of our historic buildings and just keep right on walking. And they didn't take their water bottle and rinse it off or anything. And we need to be more mindful of the fragile state of our historic buildings and take better care of them. And we have a dog park in this city. Well, I guess it's in the county jurisdiction, actually. But there are other places to pee other than the sidewalks in downtown Sonora. So last time I talked about our DUIs, and I only had the statistics from the first quarter, where in 84 days we had 150 individuals charged with DUIs in the beginning of 2025. So I asked for updated information, which I got, and I will share with you. So in the second quarter in Tuolumne County, they filed 111 DUI cases. They convicted 92, and they had 13 wet and reckless convictions. In the third quarter, we had 72 DUIs filed, 82 convictions, and 10 wet and reckless convictions. So we continue to have a driving while intoxicated or under the influence problem in our county that we need to be mindful of. Thank you.
Do we have any more public comment at this time? Going once, going twice. I'll close public comment, and that brings us on to presentations. We have a presentation of the proposed scope of work from Visit Tuolumne County for tourism marketing services. It's Jen Lopez and Lisa, I think, or yeah.
I'm Lisa, and this is Jen. Good evening again, Vice Mayor Merrill and members of the council and staff. We are excited to be here tonight to present to you the scope of work for the city of Sonora. So we are in the middle of a 5-year contract, but we want to come in and let you know what the work is going to look like moving ahead this year. Earlier in the year, I had a meeting with Melissa and with Tyler, and we brainstormed some ideas that I think are going to be really fun to implement this next year. And so with that, I think we will get started. Oh, good, you have that. I was wondering where that was. So we're going to start with the numbers, and I can't see the slide. Oh, there it is. Okay. With just some of the visitation numbers for 2024 and some of the travel impacts. For the city of Sonora, we had about 218,500 visitors come through. These are people with a distance of home about 30 miles away. The top overnight visitor origins, as you can see here, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, Sacramento, Roseville, Folsom, and Los Angeles, and Sunnyvale was also a part of that. And then the other data, which went away, is, no, that's okay, is actually county-wide data, and that's the travel spending, which is in 2024 was $307.8 million. That means visitors spent that much money in Tuolumne County last year. Pretty significant. State and local tax revenues, $24.1 million. So with that, we're going to move forward into our presentation and the opportunity that lies ahead. So for Sonora, it really meets a lot of the needs that we're starting to see more of, and some that have continued in the visitation market. That includes experiential experiences. So being a part of the community, diving into different things that we have going on. Also, well-being, the whole wellness kick is still alive and well. And then economic mindfulness is one that we're seeing more and more as the Gen Zers and the millennials are doing more travel these days. They are looking for things that are affordable. And Sonora, while it's a complete gem, has a lot of affordability. So we are proposing a campaign called Step Into Sonora. And Step Into Sonora really talks about, like we have the Dragoon Gulch, and that's stepping and walking and being able to, one of the things people really love when we are out there selling our area is where there's a town where they can stay in a place and walk downtown and go to dinner and go to activities. So it's all about walking and stepping, and I don't know how much all of you have traveled. I've traveled a little bit this year, and everywhere I go, it's all about how many steps you get today. So that's kind of another aspect of this where it all ties together. Also the historic aspect of stepping back in time. So with that, I'm going to let Jen talk about all the really fun stuff.
All right, so included in this proposal are two special projects along with various other line items. But one is to continue along with the special projects, is to continue the Sonora Selfie Trail and other mobile trails that we have, the Craft Burger Trail, Craft Beverage Trail, which there are city businesses within those also. But we are going to be working with the city to create a paranormal trail. So this will be a piqued your interest. A paranormal mobile passport that will highlight some of our haunted and uh, floor, I can't think of the word, but haunted areas, haunted stores and things like that. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully we can get that going by Halloween and in the fall. That will be a good time for that. We also have on the list a Sonora highlight video, so a sizzle reel, if you will, highlighting the city and all of its icons and natural areas and places for all of our visitors to go. And then we have our strategy for traditional marketing with print ads. We're looking at placing ads in Diablo Magazine and 209 Magazine, which we have done in this past year and two, and then also continuing Sonora's presence in the Visit California travel guide within our co-op ad, full-page co-op ad there. We are also looking at digital advertising that may include Google Max, Performance Max campaigns, which are Google ads that show up any place Google. I've probably talked about those before. It's YouTube, Gmail, Google Maps, Google Search, just about every place that Google operates. And also with social media campaigns as well that are targeted to our drive markets in Sacramento Bay Area areas. And then digital billboards, we have two digital billboards, one on Highway 108 in Riverbank and the other on Highway 120 in Manteca and our gateways. And so we're looking at putting some time into those. And if you can see this little picture, it's not a business card that I put on a photo there with the one with the cars in it. That's the actual billboard in front of the business there on Highway 108 in Riverbank. We had also talked about it has come up, and we'll look into it before I move on to familiarization trips, but Melissa contacted us last week and mentioned there's a couple billboards down on Stockton Street that Tyler is helping us look into and possibly doing some things with those that are welcoming to visitors and kind of brighten up brighten up that corridor there. So familiarization trips, we do host several influencers and journalists throughout the year. And journalists and influencers are both particularly important. They each have kind of their own roles. And influencers, they all have their niche. You know, it could be luxury travel or adventure travel, wellness, and things like that. So we can really target an audience that we're looking forward to promoting Sonora to within the proposal and step into the Sonora with the wellness-based and walkability of town. So we're really excited and looking into having some influencers and journalists come as part of familiarization trips to help us with our promotions. And then we always have our shared marketing costs and operating costs. So this includes Sonora being in the Tuolumne County Travel Guide, having the website on our Visit Tuolumne County website, looking into public relations and journalism and travel writers, creative design for billboards and things like that as part of those costs, educational conferences for professional development, and also consumer travel shows. We have at least one consumer travel show in the budget for this coming year in the Bay Area, and we are always representing Sonora in that as we engage one-on-one with potential visitors. We have dues and subscriptions to different types of travel organizations and travel advocacy organizations that are part of that, office expenses, payroll, and such that are also included in that scope of work. And then coming up on October 16th, we'd like to formally invite you to our Tourism Summit and Awards and Partners Showcase. We're very excited to be presenting 3 travel industry awards this year: Tourism Advocate, Spirit of Tuolumne County, and also Frontline Hospitality Champion. And Mariah has some flyers back here if you'd like one to put up in break rooms and things like that, so that it goes to the form to nominate our tourism industry stars that we have in our area. And we will also have presentations by Lynn Carpenter, who is a Senior Vice President of Marketing for Visit California. We'll have a panel of a travel influencer and a journalist that will be moderated by our PR contractor. And we will also have a partner showcase, and we're talking about ways that our local businesses can partner together. And a social media panel as well, or a social media presentation as well.
So that is our scope of work. And I just want to mention too that there's a lot of things that we do that, of course, cross county and city. And so there's more to this, but these are the things that are more specific to the city of Sonora. Any questions?
Is the Marketing and Tourism Summit an all-day affair, or is there a time when interested parties might end up showing up?
This year we are looking at it to be about 9 to 4, so pretty much all day.
So, okay.
And with lunch, of course.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Well, thank you. And I got to say, I'm excited to see what you do with the billboards. Might seem like a little thing, but when I visited Virginia City, I remembered their billboard because of how awesome and striking it was. So can't wait to see what you come up with. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a presentation from Pioneer Community Energy's planned expansion into the city of Sonora.
Thank you so much. I believe there is a slide deck there. Do you have the slide deck on your side?
Yes, just one moment.
Okay.
We also have physical copies too, for what that's worth.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you. So good evening, Mayor and members of the council. As a reminder, my name is Gina Stassi Vanacore, and I'm the Director of Communications at Pioneer Community Energy. And with me tonight is my colleague, Jake Trumbull. You may remember each of us from earlier presentations down in Sonora. We are really excited to have an opportunity to speak to you tonight. Our purpose today is to present to the council and provide an update from our February meeting about expansion of Pioneer Community Energy into the city of Sonora. We have some good news to share, and we'd also like to preview what comes next, since the city has now officially joined Pioneer. Next slide, please. So as a reminder, last time we were here was in February, and the city adopted a resolution to join Pioneer Community Energy's JPA. We did file our expansion plan with the CPUC in March, and we are very proud of the fact that CPUC certified that plan on June 9th. As soon as it was certified, we began immediately carrying out the administrative duties that were required to fully execute our amended JPA. I would like to thank staff for their help and their promptness in getting the final documents that we needed. On July 9th, we did complete our filings with both the Secretary of State and the State Controller's Office, which brings us to where we are today, which we are fully preparing for the city of Sonoma to join Pioneer. Next slide, please. As a reminder, Sonora is not alone in joining Pioneer. We actually have 13 new members joining Pioneer at the same time, which will be in October 2027. That includes 5 counties, including the county of Tuolumne, 7 cities, and the very resilient town of Paradise. October 2027 is our planned service launch. And our procurement team has already begun negotiating and executing contracts for power so that we can fulfill the demand of the expanded load. Tonight, what we would like to talk to you about is how we plan to partner with the city of Sonora beginning now and throughout our launch so that customers have a very clear understanding well in advance of the launch, what to expect and how we plan to answer their questions in a seamless way. Next slide, please. So starting with communications and outreach, there are a few things that we know. While the council members and staff are familiar with Pioneer because we have been in the area, both in Sonora and Tuolumne over the last year, the public has very little knowledge of who we are and virtually no familiarity with what we do. So we already are planning or trying to figure out how best to engage with not only council members and local leaders, but stakeholders, influencers, and other members of the general public so that we can really effectively create a public communications plan. I want to remind you that one of the things we always said is that we want to be a strong community partner. So input from the city is always welcome and appreciated. Any plans that we make will be reviewed with the city in advance because, again, we want this to be as reflective as we can of what the city of Sonora really needs. Our plan is to ensure a strong, steady drumbeat of information going all the way through 2027 and beyond. Again, we're here to stay. But the biggest reason for that is to help take some of the mystery out of what's going to happen. We have already begun some of those communications activities. They will ramp up over time. And again, the focus really is on educating all of our future customers about who we are, the benefits that we provide, the programs that we offer, and why choosing Pioneer is a good choice for them individually and for the city as a whole. Next slide, please. So in case anybody is getting questions now, please be assured that there's already information available out in the public. We do have an expansion page on the website. Jake manages the website and is very diligent about keeping things updated and fresh. What this page really does is explain who's joining Pioneer, what the timeline is. It helps better define Pioneer's role in the energy equation, and then answers basic questions about how do we save customers money, what is the actual savings. This page will be updated and built out over time, but in the event that people are curious now, there is a resource already available to them. I also wanted to remind everyone that we do have a local customer care center. And if people call, they will talk to a live person and they can get all of their questions answered. And, again, our metrics for success is having customers feel like they get their questions answered and they're having their needs met, not necessarily call brevity or call volume. So, next slide, please. So how will we accomplish this? There are a number of things that will take place over the next 27 months. As I mentioned, we already have begun planning and researching influencers, stakeholders, community organizations that we sincerely hope to engage with. We are doing meetings, and when reporters call, we've done some reporter briefings. We hope by the end of this year to develop a very comprehensive list for outreach, which again, we are happy to share with the city so that you have a clear sense of what we're doing. And then by the end of this year, I do anticipate that we will be joining the local chambers of commerce and trying to engage with your business leaders as well. Next year in 2026, we really will develop a plan that is reflective of what we hear back from the community. We will work in coordination with the city and community leaders to develop a very robust plan geared or very focused on raising awareness about Pioneer. We do expect that we will engage with local media and probably do some paid media to make sure our messages are out there. We would love to sponsor some of the key events. Again, it's an opportunity for early education for our future customers. And then again, we will maintain our membership and presence in the chamber. By 2027, it really is go time. And this is when we will execute our full communications plan. I do expect using a variety of tactics. We, at that point, will do town halls, we'll do presentations to civic and fraternity groups. We want to be present in the community and seen as a member of the community. So expect that we will be here. We will do paid ads. We'll have a strong social media presence. And one of the things that we know works really well in some of the more rural areas is direct mail. So we are planning a very robust direct mail campaign. There will be a series of mailers beginning early in 2027 and extend out past our service launch to answer questions and give more detailed information about what customers can expect. And again, the goal for all of this is to be very transparent and to help take the element of surprise out of what's happening as we lead up to that October 2027 service launch. Next slide, please. In terms of content, we will be out there, but we also want to listen and develop information that is that shows that we are listening and we are responding to what the community is really asking about. So we also hope to anticipate questions and answers based on what we know is important to customers. Oftentimes customers want to know why an entire community is enrolled all at once. We will explain that to them. They want to understand what their bill will look like. So we will present images of bills so there are no surprises there. And then again, we will listen to what questions have come out of some of the town halls and community presentations so that customers feel like we are not only hearing them, but that we're responding. At that point, we also would like to have a much more robust presence in the community at events. We would love to get the stakeholders in the community involved in rolling out the plan. Again, it's about partnership. And I would really just like to reaffirm to city leaders, to city staff, and to members of the community that we are here for you before, during, and after the service launch, because we are really excited that the city of Sonora is joining Pioneer. So.
Thank you.
So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I genuinely appreciate your time tonight.
Any questions?
So, Gina, Mark Plummer here. I note that you're doing an enormous amount of outreach and education. Is this in response to, is this just because it's good practice, or is this because in other places there's been a lot of resistance?
Actually, it is both. One is it is good practice to have people know who we are and what we want to do. But in actuality, what we have found is in the areas where we have reached out and become a member of the community, we have had very high levels of success and a very high participation rate. For example, when we launched not a little bit less than 2 years ago in Grass Valley in Nevada City, we did a similar type of outreach campaign and we had a 97.2% participation rate.
thank you. I was just curious because it's a lot of work, obviously.
It
And
is,
plus, I
but
mean, we didn't, the city council didn't exactly agonize over making this decision. It seemed easy enough, and so I was very curious about that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Should we ask for public comment on this item? Do we
Sure,
need
and
to?
I'm not sure that we took public comment on the previous, so if
That's
you'd like
why
to
I bring it
open
up.
presentations up to public comment.
Yeah,
you're
at this
welcome.
time, I'll open up both the last two presentations up to public comment if there is any. Going once, going twice, seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the council. I guess we actually are moving on to the consent, if that's all good. Thank you, Pioneer.
thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. So items on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be voted on in one motion unless a council member or member of the public has a question or wishes to discuss an item. In that case, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately.
And I would like to ask to remove item E so that we can clarify it for the community.
So noted.
And with that, I will move to approve the consent calendar minus item E.
We will. At this time, I'll ask for public comment on items A, B, C, D, and F on the consent calendar.
I heard a motion on the floor. I didn't hear a second. Was there a second?
We're opening for public comment first.
Okay. Yeah, I got that. You could still have a second and still have public comment because now you look like you're not following rules. Anyway, I'm really curious as to why there are minutes on there from 2022. That is not a good look.
Would that be a typo potentially on?
No, we are just getting caught up on those minutes that were from 2022.
I know we've had some back minutes over the years just from previous, yeah. So thank you for that clarification. I have a motion from Councilmember Plummer.
Second.
I guess we'll close public comment. If there is no more, we'll consider the motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 4-0. So that brings us to item E.
We had asked our attorney to stay online and brief us on this. So I'm not the person to do the briefing. I'm questioning and asking that we present it to the community so that it is clearer.
Thank you, Councilmember Merrill. I'm sorry, Councilmember Plummer. If I can jump in. So we were contacted by PERS and informed that our contracts needed to be reworded so as to align with the city's past practice of making certain items of employee compensation PERSable. We had much back and forth with PERS about how to make the language align with our past practice. And what you see in front of you is the beginning of our eventual move to get all of the MOUs aligned with past practice and PERS compliant. So if you look at the proposed side letters before you, what they do is they take the original language from the MOUs and they add terms into it that PERS was looking for in order to make it special compensation and therefore PERSable. So for instance, if you look at the education incentive component, what PERS wants to see is that it enhances the employee's ability to do their job. And while we may think that a degree would always enhance an employee's ability to do their job, PERS wants to see that language explicitly. So the team interfaced with a PERS representative back and forth many times, and this is the language that we arrived at, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from council? I think this is really just, yeah, like as we said, a clarification of not substantially changing any of the agreements that we already had, just making it all okay in the eyes of the lawyers. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve item E.
So moved.
And we've got
I'll second it.
Second here.
Yep.
I guess we will ask for public comment on item E at this point. Going once, going twice, seeing none, we'll close public comment. All those in favor of approving item E, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Passes 4-0. So that brings us to new business. We have item A, consider approval of the proposed mutual aid agreement between the City of Sonora and Chicken Ranch Tribal Fire Department, and authorize the interim fire chief to sign the agreement and any related documents necessary to implement the agreement. Gary Carlson, Fire Chief.
Sure. Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of council. It's pretty simple. One thing about the fire service, what we've learned over the years is there's no one entity that can handle all situations, you know, massive wildfires, earthquakes. So what we've come to rely on is what's known as mutual aid or automatic aid from other departments. 2016, all fire agencies in Tuolumne County entered into a mutual aid agreement whereby, you know, we're there to back up the other departments in their jurisdictions, you know, to help mitigate such emergencies. Chicken Rancheria is standing up a fire department right now, a full-time paid fire department, and just part of protocol needs to be allowed into the automatic mutual aid agreement through the county of Tuolumne. So this is just some housekeeping to approve that and allow them into the mutual aid agreement, which will help bolster the fire services throughout the entire county. It's no cost, no fiscal thing to the City of Sonora, just a way to help provide better service to the county. With that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from council?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Has the county already entered into a mutual aid agreement with their fire department?
Has the county?
The county already, so I expect that we will approve this
The county's
in
part
short
of
time.
Yeah, the county's part. There, all entities are in this one.
Okay.
In this one agreement.
Just wondering,
Yes.
because
So we're just basically
Of
adding
history.
a member
We're
to
adding,
an
yes.
existing mutual aid agreement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Adding them to it.
Awesome. Any other council commentary? If not, I'll go to public comment at this time. Any comments from the public? Going once, going twice. We'll close public comment, and I will bring it back to the council for a motion.
kind of gimme, I move to approve.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes 4-0. That brings us to item B on new business, which is receive a presentation from West Side Forestry Consulting on recommended treatments for Dragoon Gulch and consider giving direction to project partners on the preferred fuel treatment for Dragoon Gulch. Trail Network, Tyler Somerset, our Community Development Director.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the council. So just by way of introduction of this item, just a reminder that the city is a partner in a $500,000 CAL FIRE grant to do some work around thinning, and there are various treatments that are proposed kind of throughout the project area, one of which, of course, is Dragoon Gulch, which is owned by the city. So we've been working in partnership to get us to this point. You've previously seen this item on the agenda when we signed a landowner agreement to give access to Dragoon Gulch property to do kind of the analysis of what treatments were going to be recommended where. And so recently, Mr. Freeze reached out and said, hey, we have basically made our recommendations. In this case, it'll just be specific to the Dragoon Gulch property. And we're looking for the city's feedback and input on this proposal. And so I think that's what today's presentation is about, to kind of show the areas that that they'll be working in, and then the recommendations, and then this will be an opportunity for the council to give some feedback on, hey, does that feel right for what we're doing? Of course, Dragoon Gulch, a very, very popular community resource. We get a lot of walkers and hikers and some mountain bikers and folks that just generally enjoy the area. So getting, I think, this right is important, because we want it to continue to be a resource that is really important to the community, is enjoyed. At the same time, we want to make this community as fire safe as possible. So this really is a blend of trying to find that sweet spot. So with that introduction, I will invite Mr. Freeze to come up and give a presentation on the recommendations.
Vice Mayor, members of the council, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Adam Freeze. I'm a forester with Westside Forestry Consulting. I'm the forester that the Fire Safe Council hired to do the environmental compliance prior to the work on the ground for that grant that they received. So as Tyler said, one of the things the Fire Safe Council, they were adamant about was good communication with the city, recognizing this is a real important resource in Sonora. So just want to reach out and have some input as far as some of the protections for the trails and whatnot. All right, so this is just an overview map of the project area. The red is where fuel reduction work will occur, and it's primarily areas where the dozer line was put in during the Washington fire. Every area except the Creekside Trail along Dragoon Gulch is basically dozer line. And this is kind of a satellite view. You can see that the dozer line pretty much bisects a lot of the area. Along Leland, there's a wider stretch to the east, or to the west, I'm sorry, will be shaded fuel break all the way down to the back of the houses, where I believe the city's already done some work clearing behind there in the past. So current condition, as I said, the bulk of this area is areas that were treated under or contingency lines during the Washington fire. You can see that, a lot of brush, tall brush, and then the windrows where when they created the dozer lines, just pushed everything to the side. Same thing, this is looking back down towards the intersection of Redbud and Leland. And along the Creekside Trail, it looks like there's been work done in the past, but it's grown back, and then there's a lot of dead and down trees. Same thing along the Creekside Trail, and you can see a house in the background, so obviously some pretty significant fuel loading there. And then same thing, this is along Creekside with the house in the background, just kind of showing the importance of doing some fuel reduction work. And more, this is just dead and down along this is along Creekside Trail. And this is up along the Summit Trail, and the Summit Trail, as you can see on the right-hand side there. One of the things, wanted to have input from the city on is how close to get to the trail, some options as far as we could do handwork or equipment exclusion, or just stay away from it to meet your guys' intent. And here's just pictures of some of the windrows that were left along the side. Okay, so the scope of work, the main thing that the intent of the project is to maintain the work that was done. Those lines were put in a really strategic area to protect the city. And any kind of fuel reduction work is like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. You get done and then you have to go back and do it again. It doesn't stay the same. So already there's a lot of manzanita growing back up in the lines and live oak. So one of the main objectives is to maintain those lines and keep them open so they can be quickly opened with minimal disturbance in the future. With CAL FIRE, they have 2 dozers in the unit, and if they have to push 10-foot tall brush, it's a lot slower than, brush that's 6 inches or a foot tall. A couple dozers can be really productive really quickly when there's been treatment done ahead of time. So that's the main objective. The second one is the windrows of brush that were left along both sides to deal with those, to either pile and burn those, masticate them, chip them, just remove that dead fuel loading adjacent to the line. And then on the shoulders of that dozer line is create a shaded fuel break condition, so there's less fuel going right up to the line. Those lines are actually, they look big in the pictures, but they're actually pretty narrow. They're, maybe 75 feet wide or so. So just getting some width where it's not a dozer line, but it's a shaded fuel break on the shoulders. And then in a few other strategic areas where treatment hasn't been done before. And then any residual trees would be pruned up as well to remove some of that ladder fuel. So these are just examples of some fuel breaks that were done recently in similar conditions. This is around Calaveras High School that was just recently completed, and the conditions were really similar to what is at the Washington or on the Dragoon area. So this is about 25-foot spacing is what we're looking for. Where you can see a fire burning through this would pretty much burn on the ground, and the canopies would be far enough apart where it wouldn't be a stand replacing fire. The fire would stand on the ground and lose a lot of energy before coming up to those lines that are in place. So these are just photos of what we could expect this to look like when it's done. And again, that's like 25-foot spacing or so. And then as far as all the material that was there, this was masticated, so it leaves like a mat on the ground. The material's not gone, it's just rearranged, but it's good. It's like really effective erosion control. That's one of the questions that a lot of landowners have, is there going to be increased runoff and erosion, and there's really not, because you still have the overstory canopy to intercept the rain, and then there's that mat material on the ground. Again, there's that same project. So questions really for the city that I had was protection measures for the trails. Like I said, some of the options are we can just avoid them. The lower part, the Dragoon Gulch, the Creekside Trail, obviously there's no dozer line there, and it'd be hard to just avoid that one altogether. But some of the things we've done in the past is either no operations buffer or operate with the equipment within a certain distance and then work by hand for the rest of it, so it's like minimal disturbance. And then the other thing is when these tractors are working, there is flying debris for about 300 feet, so there will have to be, especially up on that summit trail, probably partial times when the trail shut down, and so that's something to consider as well, just for the safety aspect of it. Because there is, when the masticators are running, that the debris can fly about 300 feet. The work will be done quickly, so it wouldn't be an extended shutdown, but it is something to consider. And then any timing of the operations, and then any concerns the city had about the locations of what was proposed. So those were the questions that I was kind of looking for guidance on. Like I said, the Fire Safe Council was looking for good communication, so I want to make sure we follow through with that, and don't need an answer, probably within the next month or so, but just wanted to bring that forward. And then if you guys had any questions for me as far as the project.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council?
Have some.
Who wants to go first? Okay.
ladies first, if you are comfortable.
I would just say, I personally would like to see, just the handwork done along the trail, especially in that summit area. It's already quite hot and, kind of desolate in a lot of areas, even right along the trail, and it gets steep and hot, especially on that dirt. So I would like to see the trail just not be disturbed more than it absolutely needs to be. Obviously, I want it to be as safe as it can be, but also preserve kind of the natural appeal and shade and whatnot of the trail.
So thank you very much for coming to both ask for guidance and to explain a little bit to us. Because this is one of Sonora's treasures, and we want to husband it as best we can. I'm looking at the map here, and it looks to me like basically we're going around the exterior with the shaded fuel breaks and the widening of the just open zones. Then there's that one finger that comes down the middle. Is that the Creekside riparian area?
It is on the east side of the project that runs, that piece that runs north-south is Creekside.
And so how high would you recommend cleaning that out for? Because it's gotten so it's very wild, and it's mostly a thicket of blackberries or poison oak. So what is your recommendation at this point?
So that is a challenging spot due to the, there's the water course that runs through there, and then there's a lot of historic mining resources in there and the trail. So the best opportunity for work looked like it was on the, if you're going up the trail towards Racetrack Road on the left-hand side. And it looks like that's been treated before, that would a large portion that would be maintenance, but it looked like it was a long time ago. Okay. And then on the side where the houses are, the goal was to get all the way up to those backyards. Yeah.
Okay. So that's great.
That's the goal.
But then, so what's the limitation on equipment close from the water? So in logging operations, it's typically somewhere between 50 and 100 feet.
Yeah, it would be
slope and everything else.
It would be 50 feet for that. Okay. There's the existing trail. So my plan was to just not encroach where the blackberries are towards the water course, but on the outside of that, maybe run a track chipper, with a mat and treat from the existing trail. I think that could be done with, minimal disturbance. To both the archaeological resources and the water course. And on the other side between the houses, there's no real good way to get equipment in there. So that would most likely be it's real steep and access is a problem. So that would probably be like hand pile and burn in the wintertime.
Okay. And then I think probably the biggest question we all have is so let me take a step back. The charm of a lot of Dragoon Gulches, even though you might on a lot of trails be 30 feet from another parallel trail, it feels like you're completely isolated until you hear somebody chattering as they walk along. Is there anything we can do to both retain that charm but also lower the fire risk through there? Because
I think there could be with handwork, and that really the only two trails that are in the project area is Creekside and Summit. Okay. And so Creekside, I think you could really, it would still look really good when it was done, but minimize the fire danger because it's basically what's coming out is brush and vegetation less than 12 inches at breast height. So all the big mature trees will all still be there. It's just the poison oak and toyon and dead and down stuff that's coming in that'll be dealt with. On the Summit Trail, I think just by probably thinning by hand and pruning some of there's a lot of large manzanita up there. I think you could eliminate a lot of the fire danger by just limbing stuff up by the trail but keeping the canopy.
Still keeping the charm.
Yeah, but and then those areas that are really adjacent to the dozer line, you could do a lot of good there and then have a lighter touch by the trail. And I think make everybody happy. So.
You see, I'm really bad because when I saw the pictures of Calaveras High School, I just wanted the whole place to look like that. Because then there's no more danger really. It really mitigates it considerably. But so you guys would, that was my question, was you guys would not be working in the green areas, just the red fingers, basically?
Just the red on that first map I showed you, just the red.
Yeah, no, I'm all game. That sounds great. Whether it's mastication or handwork, whatever you got to do, I understand. And I'm sure it'll look amazing afterwards.
My only question is regarding oak regeneration. What exactly is that? I'm not an arborist, so
okay.
You said retain some oak regeneration in the dozer lines. Is that new oaks that we're trying to cultivate, or?
So if you looked in those first pictures of the existing condition, in the dozer line, there's live oaks that are coming back in the line along with the manzanita. They're real dark colored and they're a lot taller. Those would be retained just to kind of get, like you mentioned about the shade, and it's real stark up there, just to get some canopy growing again, and they're spaced out. So from a fire perspective, those canopies will still be far apart, but at least get some shade growing up there again, so it's not just so stark. But they are spaced out. So from a fuel perspective, they're not, it's not a problem. But it aesthetically, and then for recreation and stuff, it'd be nice to get some trees growing up there again. So those would be, every effort would be made to keep those, treat the brush around those, but keep the oaks growing in the line.
Yeah, I think shade is kind of a life or death situation sometimes out there. So any way that we could preserve, even trees that are growing for future, shade protection would be one of my preferences. But I just wanted to get back to the questions you wanted to ask of us, because I'm assuming that you're kind of operating within certain guidelines, the scope of this contract when it comes to what you are and aren't masticating or landscaping, so to speak. So I just wanted a little bit more clarification on the questions that we needed to answer for you in terms of how you go about that work.
Yeah, the two main ones for me are the protection for the trails. If what the city was looking for, if it was just a complete avoidance, or we could do handwork, up to the trails, and then as far as the impacting recreation, and from my point of view, if the trails are open but the summit's closed for maybe a week, for me that doesn't seem like a big impact, but you guys might see it different, where that's not acceptable. So just want to have that that conversation with the city to make sure, because people's safety when the work is occurring is topmost. We can't have people hit with chunks of wood while they're walking up there, because while they're masticating, there will be debris that flies, can fly for quite a ways.
So I'm already hearing the lawyer commercials. Were you hit by debris on the
yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
So just want to have that conversation with the city as far as like, hey, is this going to be a big impact for a week to shut the summit trail down while work's occurring?
So the question would be times for public safety in terms of scheduling trail
yes.
closures, and perhaps financial impact, when we can close it, that it's going to have the least amount of detriment to people wanting to use it, or
I think having it closed for a week when the work needs to be done.
I'm just saying, like, when, like on a slower
yeah.
week, or like if we had some data to say, hey, less people are using it around this time.
Or the winter time.
As you say, do you have a time that you're looking at doing all this?
So the work generally occurs outside of fire season.
Yeah.
So spring, winter, and late fall after the fire season is abated. And so that's typically when the work occurs.
I wouldn't want to be out there doing handwork right now either.
No.
So.
No, and you don't want a masticator running out there in the summertime. Yeah. So. Yeah. So those are the questions that I had, just to make sure we got it. You guys were aware, and then any input you guys had.
So the question, I guess, would be to staff if they have any recommendations on lowest impact times to get that scheduled. If you have any preferences, we can make that the decision for you.
The work will be done on weekdays.
Weekdays,
right?
typically, yeah.
I don't have much preference. I think whenever it can get done.
Once it's not full during our summer season, I think that the trade-off between a week having the trail down and potential fire sometime in the future is so, I mean, the delta's so wide that it's no question. I say we just shut it down, let them work.
Yep.
And also, my feeling is that, well, we have the opportunity, at least along the creekside trail, that we reach as far as we can into the brush and the hillside and clean it up, because it will be coming back, and the more we can do now, the better off it's going to be. So, I mean, I'd like to be as clear as possible about that. I mean, obviously, it sounds like you intend to come back and consult with us and Tyler again, perhaps, but this would be the time to discuss it.
I think my position was pretty clear. You know, anything that could be used as shade, you know, existing trees or things that might grow would be my personal
They
preference.
they won't be taking out trees right along the trail.
Sure.
It's either big or it's just little crashy brush or poison oak.
Yeah, I think we should keep all the poison oak. That stuff's amazing to roll around in, especially late summer.
So do we need to make a motion here this evening, or is it just general consensus or direction?
And I could check back with Tyler in a week or so. You know, that's kind of what I was planning, is checking back with Tyler and give you guys time to talk it over and think about it, so.
Well, I think
We can't talk about it in public with more than one other person anyway.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
now's the time for us to discuss it and try and give you the best guidance that we can, or else bring it back to our city administrator.
So I think what we are hearing is some consensus on the treatment that you would like, and I think what our interim fire chief has offered is to hike the trail with Tyler and both Adam to just verify and ground truth all of this information.
Okay.
If there's anything different that we need to bring back to you, I'm sure Tyler and our chief can bring that information back to you.
It sounds like we have some time.
And have we done any outreach to local Firewise communities? Because I know there's one, probably Sonora's biggest Firewise community over there. We consulted with them at all? Like, do they have any input or other, you know, I'm not saying we have to consult other, you know, environmental agencies or community groups, but we're just curious if, you know, they would have any input on this.
And I think too, especially the Firewise communities, if you're clearing brush on their back door, they're going to be really happy.
Typically.
Pretty much.
But everyone's got, you know, their own
look a lot better.
right way of doing things. That's why I bring it up. You know, if they did, you know, those neighbors that are going to be most impacted, if we reached out to them, Tyler, about this.
I'll defer to Adam as far as whether the rest of the team, the city has not directly reached out to the Firewise. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. So the city has not reached out directly. I think we, you know, just wanted to make sure that we had a chance to weigh in on the, you know, the recommendations. I think it's a great idea, particularly on the neighborhood side, because there are going to be some impacts there potentially where, hey, we didn't notice people before, we didn't hear their voices carrying the same way, and now we see them, and their dogs are running around, whatever the issue is. So I think it's a great call, and I'll defer to Adam of whether or not they've reached out already, but we can certainly make a point to.
Yeah, I'd just like to get ahead of potential public outrage.
Yeah, well,
over,
I think,
you know, doing things the wrong way or the way that, you know, they didn't want, or
just not communicating, which is a
Sure.
big complaint with a lot of things that the city or the county ends up doing. And they say, well, nobody talked to us. So I think that it's actually a very good point to reach out and do what we can.
So to summarize, we are saying we could just close the trail. We're okay with that, letting the work get done. And then the other question was the trail protection, how close we want to go. So do we want to get a little more specific on that?
Our interim fire chief was going to walk through and highlight risk or give a risk assessment on the ground. And I think that we were just going to deal with that and then do the outside.
So does that count as adequate direction for now? Do we need to make a motion, or is that consensus?
That's clear for me.
Yeah.
And
I'm asking Tyler and Melissa too, because I don't know if we need a motion on this, or, you know.
I don't think we need a motion at this point, but I think for staff, we just wanted to make sure that we collected your feedback and we had a general sense of where the council was at. And I think we've got that now, and now at a staff level, we'll work with the rest of the team to make sure that that's what we.
I do have a question, actually, another question, and that is, I haven't been out there for over a year now, so are there any standing snags or other hazard trees that we should be taking this opportunity to remove them and deal with them now?
I didn't
I mean,
notice.
I'm not saying
yeah,
you know, but.
I didn't notice a lot of dead trees, but typically the prescription is there's a minimum like 12-inch diameter and less for live trees, and then dead trees of any size.
Okay.
And so, yeah, those would be dealt with.
If we still have any, 2.5, 3 foot pines that are dead and at some point are going to topple over, it'd probably be the best time to take care of them, and especially when we have you getting paid to clean them up so that it's not quite as homely.
Yeah, no, it's typically those are addressed in the,
Okay,
yeah.
good, okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Freeze.
Thank
At this
you.
time, I wanted to open it up for public comment, though, if there's any members of the public that wanted to speak on this item.
Yes, thank you. I haven't seen Mr. Freeze, I think, since he retired. But I always had enormous respect for his quality of work, so I'll vouch for him. There was some community outreach, and I know it had something to do with the Firewise communities, and I think the Tuolumne Resources Conservation District, and they had a meeting here at City Hall. I don't recall city people being here, but that was the first time I was aware that all this crap was left over from the Washington fire and was never taken care of, and it's been sitting up there rotting for years, and we need to get rid of it. And so this outreach at City Hall, I didn't think was very well done, and I went to talk to the Resource Conservation District the next day about how poor their outreach was. So there were a lot of people that lived in the area and over by, Woods Creek Park, that did a lot of volunteer work. So they might be interested in participating in a let's go look at it and see what we need to do. You might want to encourage some of them to participate. But this stuff's been up there for years, and we need to get rid of it and get it out of there. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment on this item? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Didn't mean to do that. I think we are moving on to communications, so we'll receive communications from Citygate Associates, LLC. We don't need to do a presentation, we're just accepting this.
Just an informational report to the council summarizing their presentation to you during our budget hearings. So there's no action or further information to provide.
Got it. So that brings us to council member reports. Mr. Opie, would you like to go?
I went to an awesome field trip up at Experimental Forest, and it doesn't look like they've done anything up there since 2011, but they did a whole bunch of work back in 2011, and they were basically talking about, grants, different things, to basically kind of get the ball rolling on it again. But they were just basically showing us the difference of what happens with a forest if it's left untamed, we'll say, and then kind of taming it, and then making it look like a park. And after about 14 years, I can tell you, it starts looking a little bit untamed again, even in the park area. So it was a lot of fun. It was basically a whole day up there. I took Randy with me, and Randy Henvelt with me in my truck, and we had a good old discussion, both up the hill, down the hill, and with everybody else on the trip. So that was about all I think I really had going on.
Councilwoman Levine?
Well, we already kind of heard the awesome stuff that Visit Tuolumne County is doing. We had our board meeting this month, and then I also attended the I don't know what it's called,
I don't even know what the official
Committee?
name of it is. It's changed so many times. Committee on Homelessness, I think.
Okay, yeah, or as an alternate.
Commission,
That was my first one, so that was really interesting. Talked a lot about Camp Justice and that they are very full and basically at capacity with 65 occupants, including 17 RVs. Talked about how they're trying to get away from having RVs there, but the challenges with, relocating RVs. And it was really great to hear that there was some movement from the camp at Camp Justice to a shelter in the county and then to the navigation center in the county.
Mhm.
So that was kind of working exactly how they wanted with the various steps. So, yeah.
Thank you for going to that for me.
Oh, of
I
course,
really
it
do
was really
appreciate that.
interesting.
Councilman Plummer?
So every, every commission or board that I sit on canceled for this month. So it's a very quiet month, which was really easy and in some ways kind of nice. So I have nothing to share really.
You know, I'll do my report and say essentially the same thing. Didn't have, I don't think, any meetings other than the one Bess was able to attend for me since our last council meeting. Just been doing a lot of traveling as usual all over the state. A little tired, but it's been enjoyable. I think if there's nothing further, we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:10 p.m. and hope everyone has a great week.
Indeed. Thank you, sir.